Hello everybody, my name is Luke Marr and this is Hot Mode, and today on Hot Mode we are getting into the 2024 Emmys Fashion Roast and Review. Listen, the best of TV showed up to the Emmy Awards, and honestly I think it was a pretty okay showing. I wasn't amazed, but I also wasn't like filled with rage, hate, and remorse for having looked at it. Talk about the elephant in the room. I don't really have anything to wear, so I kind of had to wear this vintage Sonia Rykiel coat that I bought. Also, it is very cold out. It's literally snowing outside, I promise. The Mob Wives aesthetic is kind of apparently coming in for 2024, so I have reasons, okay? So without further ado, let's get into it. So first up we have Ali Wong, and she is wearing Louis Vuitton. Now, here's the thing. It's a bad dress. I'm really sorry, but like the gray crystal bodice that falls into this beaded blue and green, red, white foliage floral skirt, it's not good. It looks like we combined two different dresses. It's miss and it's match. It's unfortunate. I know that Ali Wong is a comedian, but the dress doesn't also have to try to be one either. It clashes, and not in like a fun, chic, oh, ugly clash way. It's just not a good situation. And the black netting, the cheer, I don't really understand. I understand it needs to hold things up, but isn't it better maybe for this not to be held up and it sits on the floor? We don't put it on anybody. I'm so sorry, but no, heebie-jeebies. Next up we have Aubrey Plaza, and she is wearing Loewe. I love this. I think this is fun. This is what we saw with Celine's song recently, is this idea of the pin, which is so integral to the creation of a garment, becoming something that really should be celebrated and an integral element of this red carpet gown. I do believe that the neckline, it extends and then kind of is folded and then held in place with the pin, or maybe the pin is just there for like decoration, but it's this idea of the pin, which is utilized in the making of the actual clothing, becoming not just a tool, but rather something to be celebrated, glorified, and beautified. And I do think it's intriguing. I will say, on the runway, it's not that I didn't love the skirt, but like looking at the skirt on the runway versus on Aubrey Plaza, I like it so much more when it's a little bit stagnant and stiff, allows the bodice to really do what it needs to do. I think the color is good. I even think the idea of the boxiness of the pin bodice portion is kind of intriguing and is fun and different for the way that we look at and think about the body being shaped when it comes to clothing. I love it. I think it's great. Now, I know that I just literally crucified Louis Vuitton, but Ayo Edebiri showed up in a custom LV look, and like, things are good. Things are fine. We've smoothed them over. Everything's okay. I'm no longer mad. We're even Stevens. I love this gown. It's beautiful. It seems like we're kind of getting into like a T-length era. I know this isn't necessarily T-length, but like floor hitting doesn't seem to be a requirement this award season, and I'm intrigued by it. I do love the bodice. I love the way that it utilizes the darts to shape the body. I know that's what darts are for, but at the same time, those sort of seams where you can see the leather pieces coming together, they do a very good job of creating a shape. And I think the strapless element works too. I love the skirt. I love, 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 love the skirt. It's a beautiful style. Absolutely lovely on her. They create this sort of gathered texture, but at the same time it's enlarged and it's exaggerated. And with the shape of the skirt, it sort of just all falls ever so perfectly and flared. It's rather kind of tapered in towards the bottom. I think the shoes work perfectly. I think like everything going on with the necklace and all of that, it makes sense. Like, I think this is a great example of doing really, really simple, but doing it in a material like leather that isn't normally known for sort of beauty, minimal gown and dress styles. It really delivers, really hits. I think she looks lovely. Next up we have Bella Ramsey, who's wearing Prada. I'm not obsessed with it, but I actually kind of am obsessed with it because to me it feels very Prada. I think that green color really, really works. It's deep, it's lovely, it's not a super normal shade that you would see in terms of tailoring whatsoever. And on top of that, I love the fact that we're getting a little bit of intriguing styling with the red turtleneck under the purple shirt, under the green suit. It's this idea of color play and Prada sort of taking ugly colors and mashing them together in ways that then sort of make them very much so, to me, unugly. I think the shoes work. I think they make sense. I think they play into the red tones. It's not perfectly matching, but at the same time, I don't think I want that color red of the turtleneck to be on the shoes. I think it'd be too Christmas, so I think it's perfect. I think it works. I think it's interesting tailoring, and I like to see that. So thank you, Bella. Next up, we have Camila Morrone. Honestly, this is Atelier Versace, and this is what I mean when I was talking about Ayo's look. They're just really beautiful gowns that are simple and easy and wonderful, and they don't really need to be too out there or crazy in order to make and suit their wearer. And I think this is a good example of that traditional kind of dress. This beautiful, fitted, wasp-waisted, red, fiery gown with long train and the fit of the curves and, you know, the bust area just perfectly being on display, and it's so lovely and it's great and it's wonderful. It's also, to me, usually historically quite boring. So I like the juxtaposition of these two elements of simple, minimal, easy, but traditional versus a little bit more out there, nouveau. I do think she looks good. I think it's a nice dress. Am I like bored? Sure, of course. I do really think it fits, it works. I'm learning to like those very traditional, blasé, gorgeous gowns. And this one, I think it's helping me. Next up, we have Claire Danes. And I don't know what's going on with the vintage Balmain. All of a sudden, I can't tell if this is like a Balmain thing that Balmain's doing. So like, if somebody at Balmain is doing this, could you like let me know just so I know? Because we can all help each other. This is the second time that we've seen vintage Balmain on the carpet this award season, first Elle Fanning. And as for the dress, I appreciate it. Listen, I will say from the front, it's pretty boring. It's not super memorable at all. Do I think it fits well? Sure. Do I think the color looks nice? Absolutely. All that jazz. But when we hit the back, it's kind of like, well, bam. This is the second time that I feel like we're really seeing the utilization of the back area to sort of create an intriguing moment on the carpet. And I feel like maybe that's trending because Claire Danes' dress, it has these two big bedazzled, becrystaled patches right at the back of the shoulder, and then along the shoulder blade, these two pink gathered little panels run down and sort of like cover the butt cheek. They like crisscross applesauce and sit right on the butt area. I don't know if I love it or if I hate it. I don't really love the crystal pad thing that I'm not obsessed with. It's a certain kind of way to accentuate that area of the buttocks. And if that's what you want to do, I approve. I think it's cool. I think it's a little different. Do I think maybe I personally would think, oh, wow, what a great butt because of the draping? No, but would I say, oh, wow, Claire Danes really wants people to be like, damn, she has a great butt? Sure, that I think is obvious. And I think that's what's going on here. To me, this feels like the very definition of business in the front, party in the back. Next up, we have Colman Domingo. Listen, being one of the best dressed people of the night 2 nights in a row, it's a feat. And I think Colman Domingo has done it, honestly. He's wearing this black Louis Vuitton suit. Now, we just saw him in LV, and I was kind of like, is he wearing the same suit? But he's not, because in reality, it's kind of actually not a suit. He's wearing a white shirt, as we can see, simple. It has little jewelry in the LV monogram and with little crystals and gems and things, you know, as a necktie of sorts. He has a pearlized brooch. He has a pair of black pants, a boot. That man is 6'2", and he is wearing a boot. Everybody can wear a boot. It lengthens you. It literally changes the way that your body is. Like, I think that's what like straight men on the carpet are not really understanding to me. It's helping you to have better posture, to stand taller. Like, why would you not wear a boot? I don't get it. It's good. And Colman understands that that's going to elongate him. So stand. But the thing that I love most about this look is the black jacket. Here's the thing. It's not really like a coat. Well, no, maybe this is a coat. I would say this is like an evening coat, because the length. A jacket is shorter. A coat is longer, in my opinion. That's how I think that works. And I think that this coat length, because he is so tall, and because he's also lengthening his body and adding a few inches via the boot, he can really pull off the proportions of this coat because he's standing a little bit taller with great posture. You know what I mean? He's selling the garment. It's not that hard. So I love this. I think it's simple and elegant and easy, but also I think it's such a lovely tie into like historical menswear. I don't know. I feel very romantic for old menswear all of a sudden. I don't know why, but I do kind of. But I just think that he looks dashing and dapper, and I think Colman Domingo understands how to put on clothing and to wear them in a way where you say, wow, what a distinguished gentleman.
Look at this distinguished gentleman.
And that is honestly not that common. Look at me. Distinguished gentleman. Please. Next up, we have Donald Glover. Now, he is wearing Bode, which is a brand, menswear historically, but I think also now does women's wear, where majority of the pieces are usually kind of one-off-esque, where there are only a handful made, and the pieces are usually made from dead stock fabric, which is fabric that has been discarded, and other people sort of upcycle and utilize. Donald is wearing a black velvet smoking jacket. And again, what I was saying about Colman, there's a lot of like references to historical menswear. Now, the smoking jacket was popularized in the late 19th century, essentially as goods from Asia and the Americas came in due to colonization. What happened was certain cultural dresses would come back to Europe and they would essentially be sort of like turned into the latest fashion trend. And so this whole idea of like Orientalism as a cultural fascination in Europe became a thing, and certain elements were adopted, like the smoking jacket, which I believe is technically based on like Ottoman dress of some sort, I think. But as time went on, the smoking jacket also became something that like men would wear as they were sitting inside smoking. And it was a way to like not, I think, get ash or to burn the clothing underneath. It's gone through different iterations of what it is and where it comes from, but I like the idea of Donald Glover doing it in the black velvet. It has, I believe, I don't know the exact name. I know that they normally call them like Chinese knots. I don't know the name of them. If that is not the actual name, I apologize. But I do think that it's nice to see, it's beautifully done. And at the same time, what is really interesting is the matching pant, but the fact that there is floral embroidery or floral beading actually all throughout it. I think it's a lovely way to sort of cut this idea of 19th century macho men standing around, but rather standing around in a nice little embroidered suit. It's cute and fun and nice. I also love the shoes. They're like little slippers. They're like little smoking slippers to me. They're done in a patent leather, I believe, and they have little bows on them. And I think this look to me is a great example of the fact that we don't really understand and look at men's dress from eons ago, because like sometimes it was a little fruity, and that's okay. And we can love that, and we can be happy with that, and we can enjoy that. We don't have to be ashamed of it. I think it's cool and chic and elegant and fun and wonderful. And I don't know, I think it looks good. Next up we have Elizabeth Debicki, who is wearing Christian Dior. Very dark red, almost, maybe it's burgundy, velvet dress. It has a belt that sort of falls down. It's braided, I believe, also in a similar velvet. The thing that I think is really, really interesting is this dress, you really cannot tell that it's red unless you zoom in, and only in certain ways the light reflects to make it look this sort of burgundy dark red. I don't know. I'm having a tough time with this. I don't love it. I'm not really obsessed with it. I think that we could have more of like a fashion moment from Elizabeth Debicki. I don't think it looks like awful at all. I think it fits pretty well. I think it falls well. A velvet is always nice to see and look at, but like, blah, boring, uninteresting, not really anything that I can work with to make it feel interesting. But now I'm looking at Jenna Ortega in this Christian Dior gown, and I'm like, you know, there's a difference. I don't know what it is. We're having swings and misses. Seems to be like we're also knocking it out of the park at certain points. I love this strapless dress. I think this is perfect Christian Dior silhouette. I think that Maria Grazia Chiuri does very well in terms of the red carpets when she goes into that very princessy, flowery Dior silhouette. It's an iconic staple. If it's done well, nobody's ever gonna get sick and tired of looking at it. Maybe they will, but you know what I mean. And I think that this iteration of it is gorgeous. It has this lovely trellis motif throughout it, but it's also sheer. You can see the beige sort of netting. We can also see the caged crinoline here. And in reality, it looks great. It looks fun. It feels deconstructionist. The other thing that's really, really beautiful is I don't know what kind of flowers those are. They're not like lily of the valley. They're not hydrangeas. I think the green in this muted color is lovely. I also think that the purple is just ravishing and easy and understandable. And I think that when Dior does things like this, gives the people what they want. You know what I mean? Like, all you really have to do is like give us what we want in certain times and we'll be happy. Sell us the garment and then do commerciality everywhere else. But like this, more of this, please. I need more of this. I enjoy this. She looks beautiful. She looks radiant. It's telling a story. It's just fashion. And I want fashion. Next up, we have Jeremy Allen White. Now, he is wearing Giorgio Armani. I'm trying to like figure out if this is maybe a reference to the bear and the chef's jacket, the white t-shirts that everybody's obsessed with when it comes to Jeremy Allen White on the bear, just because it's this white blazer and it has a black pair of pants underneath it. There's a white shirt, a black tie. I don't know, maybe it's like a waiter reference. I don't know. But to me, I feel like the use and the choice of the white jacket might possibly be like a nod to the fact that most chef's jackets, I feel like a lot of the time they are white. I feel like maybe that's what we're going for. I'm not like dazzled by it. I don't think it's the best look that he's put together so far, but at the same time, I think the Emmys, he wants to go. He wants to look leading man. I understand it. At least he's not just wearing a black suit with a white shirt and a black bow tie and calling it a day. I'm willing to have some sort of empathy, but at the same time, like, it's a bit blah. Jessica Chastain wearing Gucci. This is the redemption arc that I want and that I need. The Taylor Swift dress, again, I didn't think it was horrible, but like, it wasn't rememberable either, except in the context to look at this dress and say, wow, that's so much better. So Jessica Chastain is wearing this beautiful sequined key lime green dress. It has a nice little plunge. And then as we get to around the top of the thigh, these fringe silver, or I guess greenish strands start to fall and they create this sort of movement and texture to the dress. It's a lovely style. It's simple, it's easy, it's effortless. And at the same time, it has something memorable, it has something exciting, it has something fun. It's cute. Now, this dress is actually an adaptation of a skirt or a coat, depending on which look you're looking at, from Gucci's most recent collection. And I do think that this is a good example of Salvatore De Sarno, who is the new creative director of Gucci, doing a little bit more exciting, even though it feels like his Gucci is going to be a lot more minimal than I think we've been used to over the past however many years. This is what we need from the carpets from Gucci, is exciting and fun and cool and chic and sexy, but it does have and play into the parts of the runway. It's just adapted to be more of a standalone moment. I think that's what we should be thinking about when it comes to these red carpet looks across all the brands. Adapt the styles from the runway, just like make them stand out, make them memorable, make them good. We love to see that. Like, this is a cute, fun, chic, sexy moment. It works, it's intriguing, it makes me want to buy the coat, like, yeah. Next up, we have Jessica Williams, who is wearing Rodarte. Beautiful, stunning, gorgeous. She is wearing this strapless black velvet sort of tunic style. It's kind of a top that flows down and is bodycon, most definitely, from the top of the neckline to, I would say, the bottom of the hip, at least. Then it sort of falls into this tiered white tulle skirt that really creates shape, creates silhouette, but the black doesn't just hit at the top or the bottom of the hip and just dissipate. No. It still continues to fall. It almost drapes itself over the tulle. And I love that. I think it's beautiful. I think it's wonderful. I think it's elegant and effortless. Why stop a good time when you could continue the good time and also add a nice little element? Also, Rodarte and Jessica Williams in this case understand that you can have multiple components that don't necessarily go together, but you want those components to really share the spotlight and work together well. And I think that the drape of the bodice and the shape of the skirt and the tulle tiers really work hand in hand super duper well. I think that there's maybe some sort of bow at the back, which also kind of helps to widen that area. And to me, just from my vantage point in the photo that I'm looking at, helps again to sort of build out that cohabitation, I would say, of the black velvet and the white tulle. I just think it's a lovely, easy, simple, effortless look. I'm sold on it. Again, everybody keeps going really simple, but like, I also think a lot of the times these simple looks, when done really, really well, can work. Meghann Fahy is wearing Armani Privé. It's this form-fitting red velvet gown. Mr. Armani knows how to do it. I think that Armani always understands how to make beautiful clothing. Even if I don't love the design, I do understand that it was crafted well, it looks well, it usually fits very well. And I think this is a great example of you're capturing both of those sides. You're getting the craftsmanship element, and you're also getting, ooh, the look is looking, I'm intrigued, I'm perplexed, I'm obsessed. Floor length, easy, red velvet gown, and it just has these nice little velvet, which I love. I love the fact that they're actually velvet. Flowers in 3D that sit not all the way around the neckline, but on the front, and they create a sort of faux sweetheart neckline too. You know, they sort of shape up and then dip down a little bit. I just love also the juxtaposition of the plushness of the red flowers and the sort of really matte non-plushness of the rest of that velvet dress. I think she looks lovely. I think this is perfect on her. Bon appetit, or manja. Next up, we have Niecey Nash. She's wearing Greta Constantine. I also really like this dress. Here's the thing. If you have a body, dress it well. And I think that Niecey Nash has dressed it well. I love the low plunge. And then honestly, like the proportions of the waist versus the hips and the bust area, like it looks tight. It is an hourglass shape and I love it. And I think that also the trumpet length of the skirt, the fact that it's not black velvet, I don't hate entirely. I do think that in reality it kind of works because it also plays into what's going on with the gloves. Also is great. It just creates this, again, hourglass shape, which is really intriguing to me. It fits well. There's one little thing just kind of like right across the pelvic area. I can't tell if that's like a fold of the fabric because it's riding up. If it is, a little disappointing, but at the same time, you know, if I zoom out, I really can't see it or I don't notice it as much, and I still see that shape and say, wow, va 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 voom, she looks great. Again, it feels like everybody's doing kind of really simple in terms of silhouette. There's not too much going on, and it's kind of working because again, if you get the fit right, people are gonna be happy. People are gonna like to look at you. This is bad, this is rough. Okay, so next up we have Quinta Brunson. She's wearing Dior. I know that everybody's gonna be like, why is this wrinkled? It's so ugly. The wrinkling thing is gonna be a trend. I'm sorry, I hate to break it to all of you. It's happening, it's coming in 2024. Mob Wives winter, crinkle, wrinkle, spring. Depending on the fabric that you utilize to crinkle and wrinkle, some are better than others. I do think that certain wrinkles just all over the place can look nice. Others, I don't know. I think the color is hard because when I look at the Dior most recent pre-fall collection, that really light dusty pink crinkled works well, I think. And if it's the same fabric, it's just the lighting difference. And then I do actually kind of like the crinkling or wrinkling, but something about the color difference here to me makes the wrinkles not as great in terms of that more saturated pink. There's just a difference there to me. Also, again, I do think that like the belt, bow thing, not really necessary. Again, I do think this is like that quintessential Dior silhouette, which I really like. I think the color works on her. I just think, again, it's the fabric. I just think it's a hard fabric to do the wrinkling like this and really like sell it to me. And I'm gonna say, I know people are gonna be like, oh, well, why don't you like it? Crinkled velvet, I also think is ugly as sin. Just because it's a trend, just because I understand it, doesn't mean that I have to like it. I really respect Quinta for going for it. Like, I think she's making a fashion choice. I appreciate it very, very much so. I'm just not completely sold on it right now, unfortunately. Next up, we have Rachel Brosnahan, who is wearing Versace. Again, I think like this is a very good evening for Versace. Like they're doing well. It's this very multi-textured, fitted sort of corset style that flows into a silky skirt. And I think the Versace team really hit it out of the park. I feel like I haven't seen too much Versace recently, or at least I didn't see it at the Globes. I didn't really see it last night. Versace like pulled out the hidden weapon this evening and they said, oh no, we have this. Just so you remember, we own the Emmys. I love the Fahy texture that's going on. That is that ribbed texture. It's Fahy. It's something that Versace has been doing for at least maybe 29 years, probably 30. I love the clasps. I love the corsetage. I love just the way that the little gathering of the skirt gives you a high slit on one side, but at the same time, this beautiful drape. I think that Versace did just a really good job of understanding how to play these textures together, and a lot of times it doesn't work, not with Versace, but in general. But here, she just looks great. The color is wonderful, it's deep, it's romantic, it's lovely. I think the use of the clasps and the corset sort of tying on the hips as well just gives you a little bit more hardware throughout the look, and when we added the Medusas on the straps, it's just hardware is working throughout, and I kind of love a Donatella hardware. I think that she does hardware really well. I think she does sort of technical and sport kind of fabrics really, really well too. And I think here, this has a sort of sporty feeling to it, but at the same time, it's regal, it's potent, it's good. She looks wonderful. Next up, we have Selena Gomez wearing Oscar de la Renta. Listen, I skewered Selena last week. I appreciate her doing this Oscar look because I also skewered Oscar yesterday. This is the quintessential, to me, modern Oscar de la Renta. You have these sheer styles and this beautiful embroidery embellishment or sequins that sit across the top of it and create this illusion sort of sheer dress. And it's great. I think Fernando and Laura do it really, really well. And I like the color on it. It's a sort of, I'm gonna say, it's not a burgundy to me. It's more of like a dark brown chocolate, or maybe it's like a deep brownish purple. It has like a muddy look to the color. I also just do really like the idea of the foliage rather than like flora. Instead of flowers, leaves. Leaves can also be beautiful. Leaves can be sexy. Leaves can be wonderful. And I think that this is a good example of that. Also, I wonder if the brown is maybe like a representation of dying flowers, dying leaves. You know, this to me gives like frond energy. I think something about the fact that I have ferns that are very brown, you know, when it turns wintertime, that's what this reminds me of. And I like that. I also will say, I do think the use of the foliage to sort of create a neckline horizontally is really, really smart too. I think the mesh could be a little bit better, but like all meshes to me can always be better. But I like the look. I have to say, I respect Selena trying it. I think that it's working. I think it's different for her. It's nice. I'm into it. Next up, we have Suki Waterhouse, who is wearing Valentino, and like, yes, happy, content. I don't know, I think everybody actually kind of did do pretty good this time around. Here's the thing that I love about this look. It's a Valentino haute couture dress, and it was very much so this really intriguing concept for Valentino, where you're getting this beautiful full-length ball gown, but it exposes so much of the body on the side, and I think it's this playing with this idea of historical big silhouettes and what is appropriate to wear, but at the same time then doing it very sort of body conscious, and also at the same time exposing a lot of skin. I just think it's a cool sort of play on old and new, traditional and unconventional. Like, it's fun. And Suki Waterhouse is with child, so she had this dress actually adapted to her to fit her baby bump, and like, yes, sold. As I always say, you have around 9 months to utilize that baby bump, okay? You do. And so if you have it, use it. Let it go free. Let it be. It's a beautiful thing. It's cool. It's wonderful. Nobody should be ashamed of it. It can create such a cool, intriguing silhouette and a lovely sort of shape. Yeah, I love it. The baby's all wrapped up with that little bow. Like, life is good. Okay, again, Versace. I think they own the night. I think they won, and I'm gonna lay the crown on them now. Because Taraji's wearing this custom Atelier Versace tight gathered dress, and it's just so good, and I love it. Fits her phenomenally. The purple is lovely. The use of the texture of the gathering to create intrigue, interest. It's just like, that's what fashion is. Like, that is good old school clothing making, garment creation, hand done, rework, the expertise, the savoir-faire of making clothing. And it looks lovely. I love the slit. I love the gather that falls into this long train. I love the bust and the way that it goes horizontal, but the stomach goes vertical. It's a lovely color. It works on her really, really well. Taraji, also very proud of you. Because also it's the color purple. I didn't think about that. But yeah, color purple, beautiful Versace gown. Yay, need. Please. Next up, we have Tracee Ellis Ross, who's wearing Sport Max. Sport Max, honestly, I think is a very chic brand. It's based in Milan. And this is a skirt set. It's not really a skirt suit. It's this fitted wasp-waisted little top, and then it has a matching skirt that flows down. It's in a less bright and vibrant white, but I think that the ability for it to have a little bit more movement than this very sort of strict and foundational sort of top is really intriguing. Listen, for the carpet, am I enamored by it? No. Do I maybe wish we had gotten like a very long skirt, a sort of train, a gown kind of version, or a gown skirt here? Yeah, I do. But at the same time, I am intrigued, and I'm not like completely opposed to the idea of people not wearing a big long dress to an event. You know what I mean? I don't think the idea of a skirt suit can't be chic, can't be evening, can't be elegant, and all those kinds of things. I think that it can. I think that it can work. And I mean, we're seeing the T-length come back, so like, why not shin-length skirt? But it's a skirt with a different top. I like the idea of it. I think Tracee Ellis Ross is a little bit ahead of the crowd, and so I'm excited to see what goes on here. But do I want a longer version just because maybe I'm not as advanced as her yet? Yeah. And finally, we have Tyler James, who's wearing Dolce & Gabbana. It's a black leather jacket. I do think that the jacket shape is really intriguing. I think there's something very sort of 30s and 40s about that really strong shoulder, and also that sort of little nipped in waist. The pants, I don't love them. Also, I think it's really weird to have chosen like a very sort of supple black leather and then to use like a black patent leather as the shoe choice. I just think that there's a real harsh divide going on between those two things when we get to the hem of the pant. So I do appreciate that Tyler James Williams is trying. Please just try in somebody that's not that. So that is the end of our 2024 Emmys review. Let's talk about best and worst. As for best, I'm gonna put Ayo Edebiri, Camila Morrone, Colman Domingo, Donald Glover, Jenna Ortega, Jessica Chastain, Jessica Williams, Meghann Fahy, Rachel Brosnahan, Taraji. There was a lot. I thought there was actually kind of a lot that was good, even though it was really simple. As for worst, this is tough because like there wasn't that much that was that bad, I guess. Ali Wong, I'm so sorry, but I'm also not. I guess like Elizabetha Debicki, I guess Jeremy Allen White, because it was just kind of like blah. Maybe we can throw Tyler James Williams in there. There wasn't anything that was like so awful, really, so I'm just putting things in there that were just kind of meh. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys on the next video, and TTYL.